Hello and welcome to Tarot from the Crypt. I am Lotus God Sage. It is August 2020 and we are about to get into a 2-week Cancer read. See what the Tarot has out there for all of us that are Cancers. See what messages and divinations the deck may have to offer. But we are going to start here with the Egyptian deck, Cancer, and see what messages we can bring about. So to start, Cancer, we have the Hermit in reverse. Some of you guys might be coming out of your shell or coming out of your natural routines to find yourself in this Empress energy here that you have on the next pull. You know, a very radiant and a very sure self sitting on a lot. Following the Empress, we have the Three of Cups. Cups being about emotion and intuition, and threes being about, you know, a celebration and a coming together of friends, or a coming together of, you know, all internal aspects of self to produce a fountain that will blossom flowers. But to go to your last card here, Cancer, we have the Four of Wands in reverse. The Four of Wands being about foundation and family, and also a concrete nature to the existence of the communion that you might find here with the Three of Cups. You know, these Four of Wands in reverse might hint to that, might hint to the fact that within your dynamic here, which you have your three and your three, you know, within your social dynamic here, your Empress nature is suffering or waning, or, you know, it's not being allowed to shine at its highest potential within that dynamic. Whether it's a friendship dynamic or a family dynamic, you know, it may be that the relationship that you're having with those around you is affecting, you know, your inner radiance. As we had this Hermit in reverse, you know, you might have a tendency to close yourself off or to retreat within when stuff isn't going, you know, as particularly as planned, or when things may get a little choppy. So the Tarot might be asking you to, you know, pay attention to those things and not become closed and shelled off within yourself and within your groups. But to add a little confinement to this first row here, we'll pull from the Wild Tarot deck, and we have the Three of Stones, or the Three of Pentacles. You know, you have 3, 3, 4, 3. And between your two threes, you have the Seven of Arrows, insecurity between your Empress nature and between the cups and emotions and the celebration of a group dynamic. You have some insecurity here with your Three of Stones, with your Three of Stones being in reverse, referring to creativity within this dynamic. You know, all these threes, it might be that your inner nature is being hampered here. You know, this upright Seven of Arrows, the Seven of Swords, reflecting insecurity, reflecting confinement. And although, much like the Eight of Swords and the Seven of Swords, all the swords aren't naturally piercing the person in traditional tarot. You see here that in the Wildwood deck, some of the some of the swords have pierced this green woman or this empress here. You know, she has been affected by some of these arrows, and it might be causing some insecurity, you know, a smotherance of your creativity within this group dynamic might be causing you to feel that pain and that insecurity and not being able to believe in yourself here as we begin August. But over these next 2 weeks, Cancer, I ask that you guys fully believe in yourselves and fully shine in a positive and healthy way. But to pull one last card, we have the Blasted Oak. The Blasted Oak. The Blasted Oak, or, let me pull that back, the Hanged Man. You know, a card about being suspended, but not necessarily being trapped by the suspension, or being in that suspension kind of a free will, because you're essentially waiting. You're waiting for something. You're waiting for something to happen, whether it's the lightning to strike and to burn the restraints, or it's for you to break them yourselves. But whatever you're waiting on, we'll try to see with further clarification if it's something imminent or if it's something off, more so towards the end of the month here, because you may need to brace yourselves to have a soft impact. You might be having to be able to tuck and roll as you hit the ground here, and that's if you make it to the ground and not fall into that chasm there. That chasm of yourself, maybe, or that chasm of emotional abyss, being swept up. I was actually trying to shuffle this deck to have it shuffled because it's not time, which is probably why it's giving me so much resistance to shuffling it. It's not its turn. It's time for the Animal Spirit deck. But the card that flipped over, as I told myself I'm not going to look at this card that's calling from the bottom of the deck and not push it into the deck, the Sun card popped out and turned over, you know, not leaving me an option to ignore it. So as the Sun card ascended from the Crypt deck, I ask you guys here, Cancer, to pay attention to what's ascending from within you, and if it's being met with friction by you to suppress it, then I ask that you more soundly look into it from a healthy position, and not one of just repressal and suppression with this Sun card to end up your read. But before we can enjoy the end and how it's reflecting upon this Empress Radiance, let's go to your 2 spirit cards. We have the Panther in reverse, and we have the Oyster. And the Panther also coming up in another water sign reading. You know, the Panther being about clearing the way of, you know, that which is unnecessary, and being a fire card. You know, the Panther, it's also about an intensity that keeps the structure, but an intensity that lends to being brave also and productive. But when out of balance, we're talking about being self-destructive. And to get in balance, we may need to get rid of that which is unnecessary. There might be something from this group dynamic up here, or there might be something from this group of things that define you as the Empress, that define if you identify with a masculine marker that defines your feminine nature. Because with the Panther in reverse, we also have this fire card, a water card, the oyster in reverse. And you know, the oyster yielding pearls, but it's also about, you know, the process of self-cleaning that produces that pearl. The pearl is produced from filth from within the oyster. But the oyster card being about a patient secret keeper, about hiding the inner treasures. When it's out of balance, it's reluctant and it clams up. And to get in balance, it's required that something be shared. So you already have the opportunity here with this Three of Cups and a friendship dynamic to share something to avoid all this repression. You know, this oyster may be speaking to the insecurity of the Seven of Arrows and speaking to the imbalance of the Three of Stones and creativity. And it may be asking that you do share and not worry about what harm you may feel about people's views about it, what insecurity it may cause. You know, you have to take that fear and produce a pearl in this tower moment. Not this tower moment, but this hangman kind of major moment here. Because you do have the opportunity to ascend, because the sun shining is gonna burn away that hangman bondage here soon. And you're gonna have to make preparations, Cancer, to deal with what's coming about. Because as I remove your sun card to that, under that, on top of the deck, and the deck is actually facing the right way, but this card is facing up. This is probably the card that I was pushing back into the deck and refusing to pull earlier. The Hangman reversed. You know, you have two Hangman cards here. Here you're waiting. Here you might be captive by waiting. But these two Hangmans here are telling me that much action is needed, Cancer, in your they don't actually face the way I like them to form. You know, the sign of Cancer, which is basically this, which is this on top of this, you know, met by those. But Cancer, which are the two Hangman moments here. Please look at the opportunities to avoid that insecurity and withdrawing within yourself. And start these first 2 weeks of August 2020 off with a nice bang of ascension, you know, a nice firework finish. But as always, this has been Tarot from the Crypt. I am Lotus God Sage, Cancer. Wishing you much love and peace.